All right, amigo. The thankless task of trying to stick some new clubs in my bag. We're sort of obviously starting out here, our brand new store. We're learning each other's processes and obviously trying to kind of build what will be the TFG way, taking the best of everything we've learned along the way. What does an iron fit look like for you? What is the process and how do you like it to start?
Well, I always like to start with baselines. I always like to know where a golfer's coming in, whether they are, there's always that sort of juxtaposition between where they want to be and where they're at.
Yeah.
And just helping to determine that. I'm sure you've had it as well, where someone comes in and they'll say, oh, I hit the ball super high, I'd like to hit it a bit lower.
Yeah.
And then they hit balls and you realize actually they're below what we'd like them to be in. But compared to who they're playing with, they're hitting the ball higher. So they're the high ball flight golfer. But we need to optimize them, right? So I would always see exactly where they're at and what they think is where they're at, because sometimes they can be two different things.
Someone's perception.
Exactly. So that feel versus real, perception, reality.
Totally.
So it's just good to know where they're at, right? And I go back to, like we do, blueprinting. Like what are they using? What's the ball? What's the iron? What's the relationship between them and the club? And then we go from there and we jump in and have the fun.
Yeah, we just had Canada's kind of top players in yesterday doing a little intro session with them, introducing them to the studio. And I think for them to see our process, that was really fun to see the reaction, how much they enjoyed the blueprinting. At times a little bit how little they knew about their own stuff. Yeah. You know, which is their job is to play the game. Our job is to put the right stuff in their bag. And it was fun to go through that blueprint process. But this is something, you know, us as fitters, we don't get to do this that often, where we actually get to be the subject in the fit itself.
Yeah.
You know, that's the kind of rare thing.
Yeah, you're
so
gonna be on the other side today.
We are normally on the other side of the show. So this is kind of right now, you know, kind of what I've got. I've got combo set Mizuno's 245, 243s. How is your sort of fitting philosophy evolved with the fact that so many sets are comboed now?
Yeah, we're really getting there. I mean, we actually start to see people asking for combo now.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you had that in your experience. I've definitely seen a couple
Yeah.
where they come in asking for a combo, and I'm very much on the side of fitting. Well, I'll do something if I have to do it.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times you'll see across models, not a lot of manufacturers will have the same loft all the way through their iron set. They'll have an offering for the better player, the kind of dedicated golfer, I call it, and then you kind of beginner game developer. So to be able to get two irons to do the exact same thing, very hard to do. So I'll combo if I can, but you've probably seen it as well, where you have a 7-iron ball speed 4 miles an hour quicker on one model, and unless you go bending everything, it's so tough to get that in, and then you're just going to open up a huge gap in someone's bag. And I like to remove variables. I don't like to just throw stuff in there because it looks cool. It's let's make sure. So I'm sure with yours they're dialed in. I like to make sure that through the set they can just pull the trigger. It's more stock shots. So combo setting is popular. I'm like you. I have a combo set as well, but only because the two irons I chose launched exactly the same. So I was like, brilliant. I'm a candidate for that. So, and it's just nice to be able to a little bit help on the longer irons as I get a bit longer in the tooth.
And manufacturers are doing a great job of helping us with that, aren't they? They're making it seamless to combo as well. So what kind of they have in one set is kind of maybe not what they have in the long irons of another set, and they can kind of knit those two together very easily. Yeah,
it's good to see even some of the big OEMs, they're actually offering that. So they're calling, play 2 of our irons, play 3 of our irons, and they're actually trying to invoke that in the golfer as well. And it works for us in the fitting as long as we have those ball speeds. I make sure that everything's locked on. But more and more these days, I mean, we've seen even yesterday, 4 irons are a completely different offering, right? So they'll go one manufacturer right through to 5 iron, 4 iron, completely different manufacturer, different shaft, a completely different look to the club. Cool. So 4 iron's really up for review these days. It's interesting.
I think that's the nature of what we do, and that really is our value proposition to our customers. Is we don't care. We love our partners, but we don't care which of those partners end up in the golf bag of our clients. Our only job is to get the best 14 clubs in the bag, sometimes more than 14 clubs. And people think, when we say that, it's about, they want to sell me more than 14 clubs. No, it's, in a football team, in a soccer team, there's a squad of players. And in certain games, you're going to need other players to do certain jobs. And golf clubs are exactly that way. So whether it's a wedge that has different, bounce and grind options, whether it's a hybrid that complements those softer conditions, a long iron that you need to flight it down a little bit, we are completely agnostic to that, which I think is ultimately our value proposition.
Absolutely, and you have to be. I think if you go with that mindset of as a player comes in, we're almost having the answer to the test right away. We're saying you're going into this. I like to stay, and I'm sure we're very similar as a student of the game. We're here to learn as well, right? As long as they're hitting balls, we're learning from over here. Absolutely. They're learning from here, and Yeah, don't care what logo goes on it, as long as they've got the right, scoring clubs and they have more fun. That's what we're here to do.
All right, why don't we hit a few openers?
Let's
see what we've got going on here.
Let's do it. What spec-wise are you at the moment? Are you standard length? Looks like?
Standard length. We are half a degree upright. 1 week on the lofts. I've changed my swing quite a lot over the winter. I think I've gotten a little bit more neutral in practice. I can see it, but when I'm kind of more game-like simulation, the old still creeps in a little bit. There's still a bit of the handle lifting and the toe down. So, I'm still a little bit, even just the warm-up map, you can kind of see that long left miss is still the miss.
A little longy one still there.
Yeah. So, there'll still be plenty of the old mixed in with hopefully some of the new.
Okay.
Better.
So is that a bit more like the shape you like to see out there? Just in terms of your eye?
That to me would be a bit of the old shape. So the sort of, a bit of the old and a bit of the new. So the old paths are still a little inside with a kind of nice neutral face. That's why it hangs. So I've been a little better recently in getting the path a little more neutral. Okay. So that one that doesn't really curve much is more online.
Yeah.
That's a little bit kind of stuck under it. So it's not far away. It's pretty close to what we see. Yeah, dynamic angle, a little toe down.
Yeah, touch toe down, touch open. Pretty much lie and face to your target, identical. Off camera a little bit, we're talking about the shafts you're currently playing.
Yeah.
Not sort of married to them.
No, so I'm not.
I think, maybe a little bit of a run through there. We've got a hell of a selection here.
I'm always open to getting something that's better, right? But this is the first time I've had a set of irons for this long, and I've had no inclination to change. So it's not that I don't like them in the slightest, but I do. There is a feel thing with the Acro Red that it's not that I don't like it. I just am a bit, unsure.
Okay. Unsure. So some pretty good numbers here. Average descent angle. You said your irons were a little bit on the weaker side. Just looking at some of those bread and butter numbers, right? When a player comes in, I'm sure you get it all the time as well.
Yeah.
What should I be hitting? How high should I be hitting? What should I be spinning it? We get asked that every single day. Just seeing some of yours, if we look at spin rate, for example, if we start right there, 5.6, just coming a little on the low side there.
Yeah.
Descent angle with a 46, so you had a couple of 48s in there. Those ones actually hung to a little bit to the right.
Yeah.
And the one that was bang on target, just a little bit lower. So carry came down a little bit. Peak was down a touch as well. So down from, we talk about flight windows for a second. You had first 3 shots at 35 peak height, all descending within 0.1 of a degree of each other. So we'll call you Mr. Consistent there. And then just that one that was on target, a little bit lower, so face squared up to it.
That one was the first one. That one at 27 was the first one. Yeah, I just caught it thin. That was.
Yeah, no worries.
The other three were pretty solid.
But then not a huge, one to the positive there. Not a huge drop in spin,
No.
So some good numbers there. I think what we'll do is we'll run through some shaft options here and just see with the head you're using.
Yeah.
When you said that's the longest you've had an iron, so what's a long amount of time to hang on to an iron for you?
Like if I play a set for a season, that's quite a long time.
Okay.
Nature of the beast in the industry that we're in, just you get so much good stuff put in front of your face, and you're tempted by, what could potentially be out there. But I really haven't been tempted to look at anything else. And I say my biggest curiosity is I'm just not married to how these feel.
Okay.
I don't, I kind of feel like they're lacking a little bit of that kind of like pop and punch that I like to have.
Nice.
I've tried playing blades and I've tried playing stiff shafts, and I've kind of never really stuck to it. But I like to have a bit of tech in there, and it feels like there's some tech in here, but this is the Project X nature or portion of the Acro Red maybe just feels like it's a little too dead for me.
Okay. Well, let's go to work.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So let's start off super like middly. labels around on that one, you can see that. So just a good starting point I like to use, right? I don't try to win the fitting in the first go. I get a lot of people ask me that.
That's a good point.
People are like, you could probably get that done in 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
People think, oh, you've been fitting for a while. I'm sure you could do 10 fittings in an hour.
Yeah.
Sure, there's instinct there. You know, you go and grab the club and you think, right, this may work. But what I like to do is just gradually get there, right? Go through the process. There's a lot of process in golf. A lot of opinions as well. We're told everything all these shafts do. What I like to do is just try for each individual golfer. So just to make sure that, because your relationship to that shaft could be different from another 500 people who walk through this door. So let's start you off here. So
when someone can talk to you a little bit about, there's not really numbers that we need to change, but it's more like a feeling, like experience, how you experience the club and how you sort of are able to sync the club up. What do you start to kind of, is that where the discovery process starts? Is the, well, we know what these shafts are supposed to do, but everyone feels it differently. We just got to discover it for ourselves, a bit of a taste test. Yeah,
we had a prime example yesterday. The very first fitting we did here.
Right.
The young man said that a 6.5 at 125 grams felt a bit too laborious for him, a bit too stiff. I could see in there that the shaft was a little on the light side just in terms of the energy he was giving the ball. So I actually put more weight into the shaft and made it stiffer. So we went into a 7.0, which is, you know, in terms of golf, it's pretty much the kitchen sink in terms of an iron shaft.
Rory McIlroy.
And he said, Rory, Rahm, that kind of stuff. He said it felt easier to swing. So that kind of myth busting, a little bit of debunking, where people think the heavier it is, the harder it is to hit. It's completely player dependent. You know, I kind of beat that drum a little bit of a boring answer, but it is so player dependent.
Yeah, it is.
So that's why we're looking forward to this one here, just seeing what some feels come out here. There's obviously some numbers, some North Stars we're following here, but we won't know them until we start to see them, right? Okay. Bit longer and a bit lefter.
Yeah. When I feel a shaft, that again, like when I don't feel like the shaft has much, so like when I don't feel like the shaft, I can load it. And I've always kind of felt a bit like that with Project X.
So like when it kind of all gets there at the same time.
I just struggle with the loading, so I don't quite know when to sync up the transition.
I like that pop and punch, so when you start to feel that.
No, I struggle with Project X. I always have.
Okay.
Feels lighter.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Feels a little bit, just like it's got a little less kind of heft to it.
Does the whole club feel lighter, or is it in a certain area?
It just feels lighter to swing.
Okay. Seeing your club head speed jump up a little bit.
Definitely feels closer to the timing I like to feel.
Okay. I'd love to be able to bend this 1 degree up.
I know.
After yesterday, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think one of the things, Chris, I really like about what we're seeing, if we just go back to that kind of club table just to the left there, the collection of strikes has come back. So the kind of turf interaction is definitely me. I'm kind of looking for my timing a little bit, but my placement or my perception of where I want the ball to kind of, you know, come out the club face is back. With the other one, I kind of half shanked the very last one with the Project X. I just couldn't quite feel that, but this certainly is much closer.
And you know, we're dealing with the same weights here, right? So it could be down to, you know, we talk about different shaft brands, what they should do. For one golfer, it might work, but if we're looking at some of these, obviously, there was that one very close to the hosel. I won't quite give it the title.
Hosler.
We won't quite give it that title, but it was close. Just improvements all around here, right? So as we start to see ball speed increase, we start to see it stabilize out as well. Just some steady numbers there on spin. I mean, your spin variables are like deviation, you know, 100 RPM, a couple of 100 RPM here, right? So with that strike comes that consistency, and then we start to see it in peak height. We start to see it in the carry numbers as well. So So all good things there. We talked a little bit off camera about KBS, and just some of that little pop and punch. Is it there? Is it not there?
Yeah.
We could talk for ages about what we personally both feel about it, but then your delivery on this was really good. So very, very good.
What was the curious one that I kind of almost felt like I could experience was dynamic loft. Felt like it was coming through higher, and then just confirming there as you kind of flashed past it, it was a couple of degrees higher with KB. I think one of the things, with the very first strike I had with my own irons, I caught it a bit thin. Yeah. I'm always trying to kind of get on top of it a little bit more.
I was going to say, do you like to do that?
Yeah,
that's going to be a follow-up question.
I try to. I try to, because I know my miss lives a little low in the head. I catch it a little bit in the thin side, so if I can sort of squeeze it and get a little more compression, I always look for that.
I mean, even with, I know we caught the first one a little bit skinny with KBS.
Yeah.
Still, without that in there, still living just, high 26s in terms of what you present, right? Another big one that comes up, people say, how far should I hit a 7 iron? How far should I hit it? And for me, it's every manufacturer's going to have their own R&D process. They've got their own static lofts on the club, but dynamic loft is huge, right? It's what you are giving the golf ball. Like, it needs something to work with. So what are we working with? It's over a degree higher with KBS. So you're just able to cover the shot a bit better. Like you said, get over it. Club head speed does go up as well, so that's an important factor there. It's just over 1 mile an hour. You're able to get on the shot a bit more, spin it more, and then just give it a little bit more loft while hitting it straighter. So using spin for control there, very, very good.
Okay.
Good iron shaft. We've spoken a little bit about this shaft before, but it'd be good to see some numbers on here real quick from you. Okay. There we go. See what that one, pal. I think that's the, not trouble, but the interesting part about fitting you is because you've probably tested, seen, and fit with most of the shafts in the game, right? So running through them just to get data, there's going to be that preconceived, I've tried this before. Yeah. And me knowing that you tried it before, you'll be able to guess straight away. You probably even saw before I turned the label over what shaft I've given you.
Yeah, well, I know. It's hard to hide that part, and that which is, I think that's the nature of it. Like your experiences and sort of what you've done in the past and the players you've worked with, whether it's on tour level or the average consumer, you're going to be able to cater that. Like, that's not a part of the experience that you can give me that's the average golfer is going to get. Yeah. Right. And that's one of the great things about us having you here is what to give the person in front of you. Right. That's the organic thing that we need as fitters. We need to know that. How do we interact to give that person the right experience? So, yeah, I think for me, there's no surprises on the wall of everything you and I have handpicked is on the wall. So it's on there for a reason. But at the end of the day, I always go back to, we don't get to do this that often. We can maybe hit a shaft, but do we ever hit them in a row with the same head and get that kind of experience that the customer gets? Very seldom.
We don't get it.
I do find that it is different when I'm in the bay and getting a chance to do it. I really enjoy it. It's cool. It's cool to go through the process.
It's good to have you over that side for once.
Yeah. All right, old friend, don't let me down. Interesting. That's a pretty good result out of a bit of a necky one.
Yeah, you didn't seem immediately happy with that.
No, it was necky, but it came out good. That, Chris, is the old miss right there. Yeah. That's the
no-no, right?
That's the no-no with throughout the bag. That's been the whole process this winter's trying to eliminate that shot. The early drag back closed that then cause you to thrust and release too much. Okay. That's everything I'm trying to get away from. And that's, again, where looking for a new shaft is going to be honest, like a whole new experience, because I've never really delivered the club the way I have been this winter. So I've kind of always worked with that shot shape, and we've been going flatter and flatter and flatter. What's interesting is seeing the dynamic lie angle toe down now. It's making me flash the hands at it more. So I think, obviously, as we do in the fitting process, but that's something I'm kind of getting a real feel for today, is how much I hate to see that toe down.
This is a great time to do this then, going through winter with those changes. Totally. And then as we get into the golf season, let's see where we're at and what we need to change.
It felt like a bit more of a coupled together swing, but there's a left miss with this one, isn't there?
A little bit.
It feels lighter. I feel like I can do that with this one. Okay. So this one, swing weight lighter with KBS, total weight lighter with Modus. Okay.
That's why I asked earlier.
Yeah.
I asked like where you feel the weight, because a lot of times people will feel something's lighter.
Yeah.
But it's the swing weight, right? Even if we packed a bit of weight in the hands, they start to lose the head and they think lighter club.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Yeah, swing weight, total weight. You've had both in the last two.
Without a doubt. This one feels the best. We talk about that, like that in that transition, what one is going to kind of help and aid the best timing. Even though I'm missing it left, it's maybe it's just familiar, but it feels amazing.
Nice.
It really does. Let me see if I can give you a better swing. A wee chance?
I'll tell you what. That's our drop and stop there. Nice. Okay, let's try another shaft here.
Okay.
What was interesting, he said previously, hang on to that one a little bit, the one before. Probably the most amount of sort of cut spin on the ball so far. Only 2 degrees to the right, so it's pretty tight. But yeah, you kind of hang on to that one a little bit, that second to last shot there.
Yeah.
And then hit the flag on the second one there. But to be, pin hunting there, push pull at 0, we'll call that a straight shot, I think, with 5/8 spin. So just drop down a little bit there. But overall, in terms of presenting it, we're going to have a little bit of tricky ball speed here. So that longest left shot, ball speed jump way up, right? And see that a lot of times as well. People think, oh, really good ball speed, but we can trick the units a little bit, because if we shut the face and hit it long left, ball speed's going to look great. But is that a scoring club? Probably not. Knowing that you hate that shot, we don't want to put you too much towards that. It'll feel great, but it's not going to be a scoring shot for you.
I've never seen a course designer that puts anything good behind a green.
Yeah.
Never.
So true. Okay, another shaft coming in here.
Never played them.
We're not?
No.
First
never
time?
played. First time.
Tested?
Yeah, I think just maybe when they came out, but I don't think I've ever kind of spent time in them. It's definitely one I'd be curious to see how it feels. That felt really good, Chris.
Golf shot.
Tell you what, there's a really good feel out of this. Like the feedback is very different from the other Project X. Even acoustically, it sounds a little more crisp, which I think is quite good. I mean, that's definitely just residual swing, but.
You mentioned you like a little bit of pop and punch. So when you say
I like
crisp,
to feel it. Yeah, I like to
crisp,
feel it.
is that a little bit more on that, towards that side of feel?
Yeah, I've always found steel shafts acoustically are slightly different. Some are more dull and kind of like have a bit more of a dampening kind of feel and sound. And how, obviously that's a big thing for golfers, is how those two correlate to one another. The sound is the feel.
Absolutely.
So no, this feels great. It feels also better in terms of a weight profile than the Modus and the KBS did.
Yeah.
So it feels more substantial, which is good, but not too heavy. It's a burden.
Okay. All good things.
Yeah, as soon as I picked this up, I'm like, this has got a really nice balance to it.
I often find with better players as well, that waggle test.
Yeah.
People can almost make their mind up before hitting it.
You know it pretty quickly,
I'm going to hit this bad. It's the power of the mind in golf is awesome.
I mean, that's as good as I can strike it right there. That was right on the crosshair.
That KBS, we probably agree that's the 120 shaft we had a second ago. Yeah. 2 shafts ago. Really good. Yeah. But there was a couple of numbers there I thought maybe we'd just push a little bit more. We're like another 5-10%, we don't want to go with the second best shaft. We want to keep pushing. So reason for pulling this one, just I've seen players with your sort of delivery, you hit down on the ball nice. Like you say, not to get on top of it a little bit. Sometimes that does toe down it a touch. But to tidy that up and use something a bit more dispersion based, we are seeing a spin increase. So taking a bit of shape off the ball. I like to spin up players who, if they do have that left miss, the spin is going to come down naturally. For a right-handed golfer, it's going to happen. A little bit toe down. You don't get too near to the toe, so it's not that real turny one. But your feeling is that up and that left, right? So if we can get something that just quietens that down, if that spin is on the ball, it just gives you a fighting chance on that to delete that left side.
Yeah, I think in any adjustments that we make, which obviously we will do, but the I think the more we get that lie angle upright, I'll struggle less with the left miss, just because the start line's more online. So I think right now, because the toe is down, the start line's a hair right, that's what's causing a little bit additional sort of hand activity. So one more.
Importance of lie angle there, right? Just even visually.
Yeah.
Not making you do anything at all.
One-hander, just a little necky. I just feel like that's a lie angle change away from being so good.
Yeah. Good reactionary shot there, though. That last one there, in terms of the delivery of it, you hit one out to the right a little bit.
Yeah.
So natural reaction as a human being. You think, right, well, let's turn this thing over, right?
Yeah.
One thing I noticed just going through is club head speed. Last couple of shafts, as we sort of settled on weight, I'm really lucky in 120.
Mm-hmm.
As we've built stability as we're going through, your club head speed just increases. So I'm just seeing, golfer in the bay, a bit more confidence, just swinging at it, knowing you can hit your lines. And then just in terms of ball here, we're seeing a nice increase in ball speed. Heights come up a yard.
Mm-hmm.
Again, some people think, oh, a yard, but for our world, that's absolutely huge, right? So to be able to get a little bit more spin on it. See, there's a couple in there that dipped a little bit. That one that went left, you dropped down to 5.5 a few swings ago. But overall, very, very good performance from this low spin, gaining your spin. Right? So there's your whole, what it says on the shaft versus what it can do.
It's important for us to say that, isn't it? That just because it says low spin on it, don't put it in the box.
Yeah.
Right? It's just another tool, and someone will obviously offset that. And there'll be plenty of times where it does what it's meant or what it's intended to do, but there'll be loads of times where it doesn't do that at all. And this is definitely one of them.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Okay.
So, shaft we like.
I do like it.
New lie angle. So I think seeing some of the numbers there, we know that, blueprint in your current irons, lie angle is just a little bit more upright.
Yeah.
And we talked about start line, just knowing where it's going to start. So what we'll do is we'll, made that adjustment to lie. We've got awesome shaft in it for you. Actually staying at the same weight you're currently in.
Yeah.
But just moving into something that plays a little more consistent through, ever so slightly softer in the middle.
Okay.
Ever so slightly from the very first one. And just to talk from that same manufacturer, Project X, for your performance-wise, these two shafts couldn't be more chalk and cheese.
100%.
So big learning point there.
Yeah.
You make my job very easy here, just in terms of your delivery. They're all like this, but you're able to drop it in the same slot every time.
Yeah.
We've got variable on face, right? But we're coming out of winter, out of the snow season. So for you not being able to get out and play as much, we made some changes as well. So for you to be able to get this level of face consistency through, I think it's just going to help.
Yeah. This will be interesting, just having made the lie angle adjustment there, just to see what that does to the consistency. Because as I said, the minute I see it going too far, kind of toe down, I do feel like I make compensations, and that is one of the differentiators. Is fitters, when we work with better players, they are a little bit more reactionary, and that's that's a challenge in its own right. Is we want to give the player control of the club, but we also don't want them trying to fix their own issues every single time.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay, let's see what we got.
We get that with better players, even beginner golfers as well.
Yeah.
That reaction to equipment is what we're trying to avoid. That's what keeps you and me in a job. And if we can have it the other way around, if we can change the equipment to the golfer, we're on to a win.
A little bit straighter immediately. Probably a little low in the head, but it wasn't bad. Okay.
How does that feel? Just
it's good.
New lie angle, obviously same shaft. Pulling that from the top.
Yeah, it does. It feels better for sure. I'm trying to just kind of get on top of them a little bit more, and I'm still trying to kind of see if I can get that coming out a little bit in a better window. I feel like they're launching too high, which is me. It's not something I'm looking for the club to launch it lower. Certainly, I'm not keen to go like lower in loft for a player like us. Going down in loft, obviously reducing spin and flattening out that land angle. It's not what we want. So, I think as a player, better player especially, you've got to take responsibility for a good part of this yourself, and let us find the tools. Obviously, that's why we've got over 400 shafts in the wall. It's, we've got different options up there, but the player still has to do the job, and I think that's something we're always respectful of, isn't it?
Yeah. A lot of times I think we can get a little bit too caught up in the numbers.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously we've got these machines here, we've got the quads in, all this awesome data, but sometimes what I see in some fitting environments, they sort of forget that we've got an organic human being swinging an object, trying to hit a ball into a screen. So that's really important. I always try and remain on that side of, we're going to make mistakes out there. There's going to be we are the variable in that. So, the clubs stay the same, the ball stays the same. So, being mindful of that you may just not hit the swing you want to do. Right? So it's knowing that often, what's the definition of like a well-fit golf club? Yeah. I'm sure you do plenty of times too. And over the years, what I've learned is that if somebody can play a club, that when they get everything right, they look up and the ball's exactly where they expected it to be. And you're like, brilliant, that's golf in nirvana right there. But it's one of those million things that can go wrong in the golf swing when they start to creep in, whether it's a pattern or just a complete outlier. We just don't want the club to punish too much. So I always think the club that will punish the least, because there's so many things that can go wrong in a swing. I know I've probably done them all myself, probably in one round of golf. And to have those mistakes or slight differences in the swing as we go through and those variables, to have the club just say, do you know what, I've got you here, just to match that effort level. I think that's the right club that goes in the bag. Totally. Best reward, least punishment.
That's always what I'm looking for. And that's where that left one is. That's the big punishment. That's the card wrecker. That's the double bogey waiting to happen. We certainly don't want that one. Probably the best one of the day, Chris.
Awesome spin on there.
Yeah,
Just a gain in everything there, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's about 7 iron. It's 6,000. That's about what we'd love to see, isn't it?
Yeah. You play, obviously, we talked a little about loft as well, just having play maybe slightly weaker for you, just to guarantee that sort of launch on there. Lie angle you're currently playing, really like it.
It's good, isn't it?
You've rolled at that for a while, right? Just going a little bit upright.
Yeah.
Really great for you, even if it's just for you to hit your lines, just to look up and know exactly where the ball is. Which, if we talk for a second about ball flights, a lot of people think, well, if he misses left, why are we going upright? Yeah. That's huge, right?
Totally.
A lot of players, and they walk out thinking that's so counterintuitive what I would have thought from the session. Yeah. But for you to know that lie angle is set up for success, it's not about worrying about the miss and over planning for that. We want to, accommodate that. Yeah. But for you to hit a straight shot will stop you any other swing compensations.
I think it's one of the most misunderstood things in golf is shot shape. What it takes to create a cut, if that's what you want to do, or a draw has to come from a rightward start line. A rightward start line has to come from an open face. So to hit a draw, you have to have an open face to start with. But it's the face relationship to the path that creates the curve. That's why I always say never be, when you're trying to cut it, never be afraid of going upright, because upright is going to give you the start line that allows you to then cut it. If you're too flat, too much toe down, you're going to always have a hard time fading it from too much of a toe down situation. It's really, really difficult for golfers. But golfers always think, well, if the face is more toe down, it points the face to the right. Yeah, but that's start line. Start line. That's the big difference between start line and face to path relationship. And I think we've kind of experienced this, a little bit today, is the more we got that upright, the more I felt comfortable. That you can even see it there. We started out 4 degrees to the right. I'm trying to, as soon as I see that toe down, I start pushing that to the right. Yeah. As soon as I see it starting on line, then I relax and I can pivot much more efficiently. It's how the golf swing can shape the swing, and it really, really can.
There's massive visual keys there as well. If you see the toe too far down, like you said, you'll try and manufacture it, right? Yep. And then we're back to you compensating for what's in your hand. Definitely. So it's just getting you in somewhere, even from, people talk a lot about address versus strike, because I've seen plenty of golfers address here, strike is here, right? And they're good fun ones to work with, right? We get those people in a lot. But for you, just being able to point the club face in the right direction and have no compensation, you just hit your range shot, your stock shot, then we're playing good golf there.
Love it. These feel amazing.
Awesome.
Really, really good.
Great shot for you there, great setup. To be able to just just peak height-wise, get your height up a little bit, landing angle by 1 degree. But we're talking about just tolerances there and just making little tweaks. For you as a very good player, if I can help out and give you 1 degree here and there, just to know that you've got optimum, then happy golfing on that one.
Love it. All right, pal. Well, I'm going to say this has surprised me. I didn't think it would be in a Project XLS. Nice. I really didn't. But that's one of the beauties of getting the opportunity, which as we said, we seldom do. I forgot how good this feels. Or maybe it feels slightly differently now than it did back then. Maybe it's a speed thing, a delivery thing. So the revisit has allowed me to experience it in a whole new way all over again, which is really fun.
Yeah, I think for you, like what you said, we talked about it a little bit earlier, is the opportunity to be surprised with the line of work that we're in, and even that preconceived notion. We'll get information, we'll talk to the shaft manufacturers. Oh, that does that, that does that, and to go into a shaft that it is genuinely a surprise. We don't get to do that much. So
I know
awesome stuff.
It's awesome. Well, I think for our clients to see that the big part of our process doesn't always have to be the full change. We walked in here today with a set of clubs that, you got the sense from me, I'm pretty happy with what I've got. Okay, so is there something we can upgrade? Can we take your BMW M5 and throw a few extra horsepower under the hood? That's kind of what we've done today. We took a really well-functioning golf club and made it a little bit better. I think one thing to add is golf ball is a key component to that. Pro V1X is what we were using today, guys. So, trying to keep that spin up a little bit. That's something I've chopped and changed between Pro V1 and Pro V1X. A ball fit is involved in every one of our fits because it's such a key component. Even down to the grip size, we have the opportunity to switch grips out if somebody needs a different grip. I play the True Temper Icon, so again, this was a easy one for us to do today. But component-wise, whether it's head, shaft, grip, ball, the whole thing is in play.
We've got some awesome sort of combinations there as well, and just. Like you said, you weren't coming in here thinking, right, I need new irons. This is like, can we optimize a little bit more? It's a couple of degrees here, a little bit of spin here, and just getting things where you like them. That's the key part of it, right? It's not, you don't have to wait and chase the ambulance. It's more like, is there better there?
Totally.
Let's do some discovery, and then we've ended up somewhere we may not have thought. So
I know.
That's club fitting in a nutshell right there.
Yeah, champ. Thanks, buddy.
Awesome, Nick. Good fun.
Appreciate it.